We were blessed with an email from William. He writes, I want to set up an FTP site via cable modem, but the cable company only offers a dynamic IP address. Is there any way to set up an FTP site with a dynamic IP? So his problem here, he's got a cable modem. His service provider is always changing his IP address. Every time he logs on, he's assigned a new IP address. Then when he logs off, that IP address is probably assigned to someone else. Hence the name dynamic. That whole thing is, if he's setting up an FTP, how is people going to find the FTP if the IP address is always changing?
Well, the dark days of the internet, one, there wouldn't have been no dynamic DHCP, and two, he wouldn't have been able to do it, but our intrepid Yoshi, who's sitting in a corner fighting with a dead Belkin as we speak right now, actually found out a pretty good service for this. It's pretty easy. Check this out. We have TSS.com just for a second, and this is temporary because TSS.com is someone else's URL. So we want to be careful with this. But if you try to type in TSS.com, you're not going to get anything. There's no DNS server for it. So the DNS server is the thing that goes up and goes, okay, you want to type in www.google.com. That's actually 163.24.311 or whatever it is in internet speak. What we found, though, is there's basically a bunch of companies that do IP redirections. So the one we found is actually, we like pretty much noip.com, no-ip.com. There are about 1 billion sites that do this. We listed a whole bunch of them up on the screen.
Most of them charge around $25, and really what they're doing is, in some ways, acting as a proxy. So all you have to do is go to the URL that they are going to assign to you, and then it will automatically reroute the person who's trying to find your, say, FTP server to your IP address, no matter if it's changing or not.
Yeah, we should actually point out, most of them actually do it for free, but they do something pretty funky. Instead of typing in, like in my case, it would be like slamdance.net, what you have to do is something like, it would be like
slamdance.noip.
Exactly, .org, and let's see if I got that right. There we go, and that actually redirected us to the screensaver. So if we can actually get a tight shot of this up in the corner, what we're actually doing is hop2 is the one that is basically the extension you tack on if you're using no IP. That's the free one, right? So tss.hop2.org, and bang, that redirects us to the screensavers.
So it's just a matter of whether you want to put a little advertisement in your URL for your FTP server.
Basically, yeah. And for $24.95 a year, that's pretty cheap.
That's not bad.
To like 10 or more, I think it drops down to like $8.95. There are a ton of services that do this.
And it's a lot cheaper than actually buying a static IP address from your ISP.
Yeah, that can get really pricey, or hiring a service somewhere. No